Steve, you on the Israeli side, you've been doing a lot of thinking and also writing. You've got a piece in Foreign Policy, which is basically saying that, look, post-October 7th, that sort of changed everything in terms of the Israeli approach to Iran being an existential threat. I mean, if you take a look at what's happened with the first Israeli strikes, right, they have decapitated the military command and control structure, although they've left the sort of political leadership in place. I mean, this is a sea change to their game. They're not so much thinking about trying to neuter the nuclear program. They are going for, it looks like, regime change.
Well, I think that the Israeli strategy, going back to the early days after the October 7th attacks, going in 2023, the Israelis have said that they were going to change the Middle East. They've changed Gaza. They've changed Lebanon. They indirectly helped bring down Bashar al-Assad in Syria. And now it's clear that they're turning their sights on what they term the head of the snake. And I think that the Israelis are not necessarily, I think what they're saying is that they're going to help create an environment where Iranians may be able to take matters into their own hands. If you look at the targets that they have gone after, it's not just been missile launchers. It hasn't just been nuclear sites. It is, as you point out, very important regime figures and the ability and those state institutions that are critical to maintaining political control. So I think the Israelis, it's beyond their capacity. It's a small country of 10 million people to march an army into Tehran and oversee regime change as the United States attempted to do in Iraq. But I think that they are genuinely interested in making an environment that is more conducive to regime change, because from their perspective, it's not just the nuclear. The problem isn't just the nuclear issues. It's who has them. The nuclear program is in the hands of a regime that has vowed to wipe Israel from the face of the earth and funded proxies that have attacked Israel for years and years and years. And the Israelis, after October 7th, decided that they would believe people when those people said they wanted to kill or erase Israel from the face of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. But Steve, here's the thing. I mean, even if you believe, and I believe, and a lot of other people believe that right now Iran is on the back foot, its options are basically limited. They're not just going to roll over. It's not that easy, right? I want to play you a soundbite from Ryan Bohl over at Rain, whom you may know. We talked to him earlier. Let's take a listen to that, and then we'll continue talking.
I tend to think that because this is such an affront to Iranian nationalism, because Iran's political ideology and its military culture have been built around this moment, they're more likely to get a hardliner response than they are to get a conciliatory response. And while the Iranians have signaled that they're willing to step off this escalation ladder should the Israelis end their airstrikes, I think the Iranian leadership right now wants to be the last one to fire the last missile. That when this ceasefire eventually does come down the pipeline, it comes because Iran has ended it with a final strike and not because the Israelis have exhausted a target set.
All right, so I was going to ask you what you made of that.
I don't think anybody believes that Iran is going to roll over. And the IDF has been extraordinarily clear that they don't expect the IDF to roll over. But where I think he's wrong is that the regime is quite weak and that there is a tremendous amount of opposition. Of course, transitions could lead to more benign regimes or fiercer regimes. I think also on the military front, the Iranians are starting to get to the point where they have to use what they have or they're going to lose it. That within the next week or so, they won't be able to launch these kinds of missile barrages on Israel. And as a result, it won't necessarily be the Iranians determining the end of the conflict. It'll be the Israelis who have established air superiority over the entirety of the country and can pick their targets as they'd like.
Yeah, and apparently they already have, notwithstanding a couple of missiles which actually got through and hit Tel Aviv and Haifa overnight. And, for me, it isn't just a change of tactics on the part of Israel from, look, let's take out the nuclear program to, look, let's take out the entire regime. It's also a sea change because for years now, as you probably well know, right, the way that they've approached trying to undermine the nuclear program is clandestinely, covertly, with the help of, I suppose it would have been Mossad or units like that. So I see that happening as well. One thing I can't figure out is a physical attack on the key part of Iran's nuclear program, Fordow, all right, underground, which Israeli attacks have not been able to hit just yet because they just don't have the ordnance, right? A lot of people have been talking about that and saying, look, it's the U.S. that has these bunker busters and the B-2s, and Israel does not, so therefore they can't. So in order to really take out places like Fordow, it would require U.S. involvement. But one part of me, when I think about Israel and how innovative it is, I mean, this is startup nation. I'd be surprised if they didn't have a contingency plan. It's like, okay, we don't have the 30,000-pound bomb, but there's got to be another way to do it.
Right. I think that the Israelis have been looking at this problem for quite some time and have come to the conclusion that perhaps they don't need the United States and they don't need B-2 bombers and they don't need massive 30,000-pound bunker busters, that perhaps there's another way into Fordow and to disable this facility and therefore undermine Iran's nuclear program. They certainly have not indicated just yet that they have an answer to Fordow. They have taken a couple of shots at it from the air. But the Israelis, as I said, have been looking at this problem for a long time. And as you allude to, they certainly have a number of tricks up their sleeves.